Hello everybody, I'm some loudmouth on the internet with an opinion. If you've been following recent news, you may know that YouTube has been slowly getting a bit more hostile to independent content creation. YouTube's business model is clearly moving away from supporting independent content creators and more towards turning YouTube into another TV service similar to Netflix. AKA, if you're not one of the big boys, don't expect YouTube to give two shits about what you think. Because of this new focus, it seems more and more that independent creators, the ones who have given YouTube its identity, the ones that separate YouTube from other services, are increasingly finding strikes on their channel for often inexplicable and unjust reasons, and sometimes have their channels outright deleted at random for no reason. I Hate Everything, one of my favorite YouTubers, had this happen a couple years ago, and he put it in a very smart way.
Comparable to being a builder or a doctor or something. But at least when you're, say, a builder, you're not spammed with comments from people telling you to kill yourself. And at least when you're a doctor, you don't turn up to work one day and the hospital you work at is missing, and all that's left for you is a note pretty much saying, fuck you.
Basically a site that built itself on giving everyone a voice. A site that built itself on broadcasting yourself. A site that built itself upon the notion that anyone could get famous here if they got an audience. Where any Joe Blow living in his parents' basement could put out videos and if the public liked him could become a star. That is quickly disappearing. But what's even more sad than the kind of, how you say, American dream of YouTube disappearing is what it means for independent creation and independent voices. Keep in mind, throughout history, he who controlled what the public saw, he who was able to decide what is fit for your eyes to see, held enormous power over all of society. At the turn of the 20th century, newspapers were the public's primary source of information, and if you controlled what newspapers were distributed, you had enormous power over public opinion. If you've ever seen the 1941 masterpiece by Orson Welles, Citizens Kane, you might find it very interesting to learn the behind-the-scenes story about this movie and how the fictional Charles Foster Kane was actually an elaborate parody of a real-life newspaper tycoon, William Hearst. On top of being one of the wealthiest men in the world at the time, Hearst was also able to buy himself a seat in the United States Congress, and his rhetoric from his newspapers is widely believed to help usher the United States into the Spanish-American War. That is how much power controlling the source of information had. Of course, in today's world, it's no longer newspapers that are the center of information, but instead the internet. And for knowing things and researching topics, the internet is an amazing tool. It essentially leaves knowledge at the tip of our fingertips that was massively more difficult for our parents and our parents' parents to research. 40 years ago, let's say you really needed to learn a topic. You had to go to your local library. You had to try to search out what books had it and hope that the books you searched were the ones that had the information you needed. It was a very difficult, very time-consuming process that in people's busy lives, most people didn't have time for. Whereas in today's world, I'll just pull a device right out of my pocket, right here. And I can type in whatever I want into a search engine, and it comes up in a few seconds. The efficiency of this is actually a very incredible thing. This is technology that 300 years ago your ancestors would have regarded as sorcery. The question is, who controls what comes up in our search engines? When you allow a single company to have total control of all online independent video sharing, it can have dramatic consequences to creators, even ones with large audiences, who run afoul with the particular agenda or particular culture of the company who controls all the keys. And we are seeing this today as numerous YouTubers have received very strange strikes. YouTuber Sinatra says, for example, who has over 38,000 subscribers, has had his live streaming disabled numerous times thanks to many strikes on his channel from a supposed false flag campaign. Mr. Dapperton, a YouTuber with over 118,000 subscribers, had his channel outright deleted. He was able to get it back thanks to Trusted Flagger, but he still believes YouTube to be a lost cause, and some of the strikes on his channel still stand. Suit Yourself, a YouTuber who once had over 32,000 subscribers, had his channel permanently deleted, as well as even his smaller secondary channel. He now resides on BitChute entirely, believing that YouTube also is a lost cause. And the most recent one that has got people fired up, the YouTuber Bearing, a YouTuber who had over 475,000 subscribers, had his channel deleted, though it remains to be seen whether he will get it back or not, or what the exact reasons were for YouTube destroying his channel. Many have said that it was due to certain cannabis oil ads that he featured on his site, but here's the thing about that. One, the substances he advertised were entirely legal, thus are not in violation of YouTube's terms of service. YouTube's terms of service do not forbid selling of any legal substances, and paid promotions are supposedly allowed. Not to mention, YouTubers like him wouldn't feel the need to embed ads in the middle of their videos and get sponsors if YouTube would stop permanently demonetizing people's videos for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Curiously, if YouTube's beef with Bearing was just the oils he was selling, other large channels such as Hunter Avalon, Joe Rogan, Roaming Millennial have also all sold the same oils in a very similar way, and yet none of them have gotten struck down the way Bearing did. So there might be more at play here, but YouTube's rules being enforced in an extremely inconsistent and illogical way is sadly something YouTubers have gotten very used to. YouTube's bizarre selective enforcement of their terms of service was laid really bare in a video Poisoning the Well made, as they exposed a very large prank channel, essentially showing two men drugging a woman, which later leads to crude sexual acts. The video is fully monetized and has not been taken down, despite the fact that it clearly violates YouTube's terms of service far more than any of the channels I previously listed. But let's say your attitude is that you don't care about any of these guys. Let's say you believe they're a bunch of assholes. Fuck them. They can go get real jobs. Why do I need to listen to them? Why should anyone get to listen to them? Even if that is your mindset here. Even if you totally despise all these guys and don't care what they have to say and don't think it should be heard, there is a much bigger issue at play here, and that's that a single company, Google, now has total monopolistic control of online video sharing. We live in a world where we are essentially at the mercy of YouTube's algorithms. What information we're able to digest, what videos appear in our feed, what perspectives we're able to listen to are very often just at the control of whatever the algorithm puts in your feed. This is an algorithm that, of course, is very capable of being manipulated by people with agendas. And what's really sad about all this is that this situation shows absolutely no signs of changing anytime soon. We've heard throughout the years of alternatives to YouTube sprouting up, but none of them have ever really taken off. For example, last year I backed up all my videos on vid.me, and many people were saying that it would be the new alternative to YouTube. Finally, here was the site that would be able to compete with YouTube and keep them in check. And then it totally went under, and all my videos and everyone else's videos there have all been deleted. YouTube remains a monopoly, and there's no signs of that changing. Large YouTuber Jorik Sprav had the fun idea of creating a YouTube union to try to unite various YouTubers and give a voice to many YouTubers who have a problem with the way YouTube is running the platform. Sadly, though, although this effort is very well-meaning, it ultimately is doomed to failure. Unfortunately, for a union to really work, the entire idea of a union, you need some kind of leverage over the business you are bargaining or negotiating with. Ultimately, though, since YouTube has no viable competitor and is a monopoly, YouTube really doesn't have to listen to us. So ultimately, while this effort seems good on paper, it largely will be completely ineffective. Sadly, there just isn't that much we can do right now except hope that someday a viable YouTube alternative does arrive, which will require billions of dollars and a willingness to sustain losses possibly for years. That is a very tall order to ask for, something that seems very unlikely to happen. So all we really can do is try to hope that we can stick together. Hope that when other content creators lose their channels for completely BS unjust reasons or get needless strikes or demonetizations, that other people in the community try to stand by their side. Not really that much you can do to sway YouTube, but really it's all we got at this point. So my advice: let's all stick together on this. I'm some loudmouth on the internet, and you just heard my opinion. Special thanks to my awesome patrons, including Connor Johnson and Zach Edwards. And be sure to subscribe for more loudmouth reviews, commentaries, and editorials.